What's going on, YouTube? Let me get my levels sorted out here. Welcome to KO Bets. My name is Bill. We've got our UFC Fight Night pick and prediction show. We've got Dos Anjos taking on Fiziev. Should be a good matchup. Taking place at the UFC Apex Arena tomorrow night. 6 p.m. Eastern Time is when the prelims start. 9 p.m. Eastern Time is when the main card starts. So I think it's like shifted up an hour from where it typically is. I think it's like 7 and 10. Welcome to this show. If you're tuning in regards to the NFT giveaway, this evening we are at 34 subscribers officially. So I said at 100 subscribers I would give away an NFT. I think I should do it at 50 just because the support's been terrific. So I'm going to do it at 50, then I'm going to do it at 100, and then I'm going to keep doing it. So as long as you're subscribed, you'll always qualify. There we go. Now do you trust me with the Vegas lines? Huh? Now do you trust me? So I've kind of gotten into cigars, and the Ashton is pretty nice. I might enjoy this later tonight. And then I've got some nice local craft brew here that I'm enjoying. But yeah, if you're tuning in for the NFT contest, let's get back to that. If you're tuning in for that, you know, we're making good progress. 16 subscribers, and then we'll give away an NFT moment, the first one, which is pretty exciting. So just spread the word, pass it out to someone you know, tell them, hey, this guy, he breaks down UFC fights. He doesn't really, I mean, I appreciate it if you tune in. It makes the show more fun when you say hello. But yeah, I mean, I just appreciate the support and growing the channel. So tonight on the schedule, on the itinerary, we've got to break down UFC Fight Night. Rafael Dos Anjos against Rafael Fiziev. Just to save you some time, Rafael's a lock. Which one? Well, you're going to have to continue to watch. So we've got to break down the entire fight card. We got 12 fights to do. Then we'll do trending topics. I love to do trending topics. Maybe NBA Summer League, if that interests anyone. I've kind of had a little bit of fun watching some NBA Summer League games. And then, yeah, we'll just sign off. If you want, also at the end when I do trending topics, I didn't get any emails or anything or any DMs with interesting stories, but if there's something you want me to talk about, I'm happy to talk about it. Usually what we do is we just dive into the trending topics on Twitter. But if there's something you want to talk about, go ahead, copy and paste a link into the chat there, or just leave a comment. But I think we got to get into the UFC fight here. We've got 3 viewers dying for the answers. All right. So UFC Fight Night, as I said, it's taking place at the UFC Apex Arena in Vegas. The first fight of the night, we've got Ronnie Lawrence taking on Said Yokub Kakramanov. Ronnie Lawrence, he's a -120 favorite. Said +100 underdog. 1-0 in the UFC for Said Yokub. He had a nice round 3 guillotine against Trevin Jones in his debut. Chicago guy, so you gotta like that. We're gonna give him a slight grappling advantage, but I don't know. Ronnie Lawrence is a tough opponent, I think, for Said Yokub. He's pretty well-rounded, nice cardio, tends to keep the distance pretty well, and just has pretty nice output. So as far as the money line bet, I'm going with Ronnie Lawrence in this fight at -120. Yeah, I don't know if I can even really give Said Yokub a wrestling advantage. We'll give that maybe to Ronnie Lawrence. And then from an output and just cardio standpoint, I think the longer the fight goes, it favors Ronnie Lawrence, and I just don't know where. I mean, maybe Kakramanov's a better boxer, but I think he might look pretty good in round 1, so maybe it's a live betting opportunity. I just think the longer this fight goes, second round, third round, it's going to swing in favor of Ronnie Lawrence. If we're looking at the odds right now, it's even closer, -115 to -105. Fight props. The odds makers do like this one to go the distance. If we're looking at both fighters and their performances historically, Ronnie Lawrence, his 1 loss was a decision. Kakramanov, his 2 losses, 1 was a KO loss, 1 was a decision. I don't know if Ronnie Lawrence is really going to put away Kakramanov. So I kind of like, the fight to go the distance, I guess. I don't think Kakramanov's going to put away Ronnie Lawrence, so maybe that's the intelligent bet at -165 is the fight does go the distance. Winning method, I would just say it would be like, I mean, Kakramanov could win round 1, so maybe there's like a little bit of value on a is it going to be a unanimous decision or won by split or majority decision +450? Maybe there's a little bit of value in that. But that's pretty in line with what I've seen for a fight of similar odds as far as the, when it's going to go the distance. They think that it's going to go the distance, and I mean, I would expect Ronnie Lawrence to take 2 out of 3 rounds comfortably, and is that a majority decision or a unanimous? I don't know. Sucks trying to guess what the judges are going to think, but we're going Ronnie Lawrence with the intelligent wager, I think, being that the fight does go the distance at -165. For the second fight, we've got Kennedy Nzechukwu taking on Carl Roberson. Kennedy is 3-3 in the UFC. He is the slight favorite in this matchup at 140. Taking on Carl Roberson, who's on a 3-fight loss streak. But again, he's fought some pretty solid competition. Carl Robinson, his 3 losses: Khalil Roundtree, Brendan Allen, Marvin Vettori. And they were all via finish, but couple of solid grapplers there, and then obviously the power of Roundtree. So based on what we've seen from Carl Roberson, I think he could win this fight. If it makes it to a decision, I think that would probably be best case scenario for Carl Roberson, and he takes like a majority decision win. But I kind of like Kennedy Njoku in this. He is the favorite at minus 140. I just think he's going to comfortably take rounds 1, maybe 2, and he's going to be more of a knockout threat. I also think later in the fight he's a knockout threat. Has had, in my opinion, like a mixed... I think it's a good thing he's not facing a grappler, because I think he's kind of struggled with some fight IQ stuff as far as the grapplers in the UFC thus far. I think he's got good power, and because this fight's going to play out on the feet, he's going to have that knockout in his back pocket. So I'm going to go with Kennedy Njoku. I think the odds makers, because they're favoring Kennedy at minus 150, they probably don't like it to go the distance. Yeah, minus 165. And so it's either Roberson. So Njoku, out of his 9 wins, 6 are KO victories. He's been knocked out once. Carl Roberson, out of his 9 wins, 2 are KOs. He's been knocked out once. So, I don't know. I just kind of think, man, I kind of think this one's going to go the distance, and it's going to be the Kennedy Njoku decision, and then possibly, like, so we could do Kennedy Njoku KO decision minus 125. Isn't a huge improvement over the minus 150. Yeah, so maybe we're just going with Njoku KO plus 240. That's what we're hoping for. I think, yeah, Njoku, he does have decent output. But Carl Robertson, he is a good fighter. He's got good experience. I don't know. It's a tough fight. I wouldn't lay a ton of money on this, but I'm going to go Kennedy Njoku. I'm going to go with the KO victory. Even though we've only seen Carl Roberson get KO'd once, and that was against Khalil Roundtree, right? Nah, I'm going to go Njoku via decision plus 215. And then at that point, it just makes me think Roberson plus 500 is a good bet. I hope I'm conveying the message. This is just I think a tricky fight to predict. I'm going to stick to my guns. Kennedy Njoku KO plus 240. David Onama taking on Garrett Armfield. Heaviest favorite on the card, David Onama, minus 750, 1-1 in the UFC. Highly touted prospect. He's taking on Garrett Armfield, who is making his UFC debut. As far as, you know, his 2 losses professionally, one was a submission, one was a decision loss. I mean, David Onama is highly touted. You just didn't see enough from him, in my opinion, versus Mason Jones, and that's why he lost the unanimous decision. But that knockout in his last fight was pretty startling. I'm guessing the odds makers like inside the distance again, minus 225, and they probably like the Onama KO at minus 110. I would just say be careful with this one. You've got a couple of inexperienced fighters, and honestly, anything could happen. Our guy Onama, he did not do enough in his debut to win the fight. And if Garrett Armfield's going to come out here, David Onama 0-1 in decisions, Garrett Armfield 1-1 in decisions. So if he's going to come in here and just have higher output, it might play an advantage for Garrett, but I think David Onama at minus 750 odds is kind of minus 800. It's kind of ridiculous, right? Because we're forced to, you're really forced to chase that KO method of victory. Garrett Armfield, 1 submission loss, 1 decision loss. I gotta go with David Onama here, but it always just sucks having to reach on like a KO method of victory. Maybe I would do like a fight parlay, David Onama, and under 1.5. I think I like that at plus 100 better than the KO at minus 110. That's just my opinion. My thoughts on it, but yeah, you gotta go David Onama on the money line. It's just a lot of money to put down on a guy minus 800, 1-1 in the UFC. This isn't the next fight. What am I doing? Cody Brundage taking on Tresean Gore. I was about to get pumped up to talk about Michael Johnson. I think that dude's gonna pull it off. How's our numbers look? We got 2 viewers. Welcome to the stream. Cody Brundage taking on Tresean Gore. I'm not gonna lie, against Brian Battle, I took Tresean Gore, and I wasn't really impressed. It seemed like he was frustrated with the fight, and couldn't really do much about it. Just getting taken down, and outstruck by Brian Battle, and I wasn't too impressed with his debut, but he did have a moment where I think he knocked down Brian Battle, but so you saw the power. He's obviously powerful, very confident, but yeah, the debut wasn't good. So I think Cody Brundage, his path to victory is just grappling in this fight. But I'm going to go with Tresean Gore, the slight favorite at minus 135. Just chalk it up to a bad debut. He's going to take something away from it. And I think he's going to turn it around against Cody Brundage. Even though he's a good, he's going to have a grappling advantage. I just think Tresean Gore's pretty athletic and explosive. And he'll figure out a way how to get out of those takedowns early. And I think probably put this one away via KO. Needs to make a statement after that Brian Battle loss, in my opinion, at 4-1. The odds makers don't like this one to go the distance at minus 135. I like the Tresean Gore KO at plus 275. Probably put a little juice on that. Probably take Tresean Gore on the money line at minus 135. If we're looking at these two fighters, Cody Brundage in decisions is 1-1, and Tresean Gore in decisions is 1-1 as well. So I just think that knockout prowess of Tresean Gore, his athleticism, I think he'll have no problem with Cody Brundage, but we'll find out tomorrow. And Antonina Shevchenko taking on Courtney Casey. Antonina Shevchenko, 3-4 in the UFC, sister of Valentina. But she isn't Valentina. She's a good Muay Thai artist, good striker, but kind of one-dimensional, has really struggled with the grapplers throughout her career. If we're looking at, her UFC career, lost to Casey O'Neill, Andrea Lee, Caitlin Chukugian, Roxanne Modafferi, but basically was walking through her competition up until then. She's taking on Courtney Casey, who's on a one-fight win streak with a lot of solid experience, but I just don't think this is the type of dominant grappler that's going to beat a fighter like Antonina Shevchenko. I think Antonina Shevchenko is going to have not a whole lot of issues in this fight and probably win a unanimous decision, in my opinion. I think she grapples fairly well. I don't think she's, the best in the world, but she does have some submission wins on her one on her resume. And I think her grappling ability is going to hold up against a fighter like Courtney Casey, and if the fight primarily plays out on the feet, it's Antonina's all the way. So I'm going with Antonina Shevchenko on the money line. Fight odds, they do like it going the distance. I'm sure they like the decision, plus 120. Yep, they do. I'd have to agree with that. I think the decision is likely. I think she's going to outstrike her on volume on the feet. And, so you can maybe build a fight parlay out of that on the over and strike advantage, whatever you decide to do with the money line bet on Antonina. Ayman Zahabi taking on Ricky Turcios. Ricky Turcios looks like a backyard brawler. This dude looks like, the neighbor who's really in shape and can just whoop ass. Has a good gas tank. Ricky Turcios, slight favorite at minus 190, 1-0 in the UFC, won a split decision in his debut, solid cardio, scrappy. He's taking on Ayman Zahabi. Ayman 2-2 in the UFC. He's on a one-fight win streak. I just think Ricky Turcios, his gas tank and scrappiness are really going to show in this fight. As far as the grappling advantage, I don't know. Ricky Turcios is a little bit taller and lankier, but I think Ayman is probably going to carry a little more power in this. And I'm basically, with a money line pick of Ricky Turcios, I'm basically hoping for Ricky to just have a little more cardio-wise and output-wise than Ayman. And I think he's probably gonna beat Ayman in a decision, is what I would guess. If we're looking at their records, I just want to see if there's anything of consequence. Yeah, Ayman, 2 losses. 1 was a decision, 1 was a KO loss. We'll give him the power advantage. He's got 5 KO victories. We'll give him that power advantage. He does have a good overhand right that he was showing a lot in his last fight. And he does have some luck finding that. I think Ricky Turcios can take it. He does have 1 KO loss, 1 decision loss, but in decisions he's 7-1. So I think the output, he's 29. It just kind of favors a fighter like Ricky Turcios, and I don't. Yeah, he's been knocked out before. I don't think Ayman's gonna knock him out. So we're going with Ricky Turcios on this. Minus 190. Let's look at the odds makers. I'd say a decision. Let's see what the odds makers like. Fight props, decision, minus 135. That's what they're feeling. I would say if you like Ricky Turcios, you like the decision, plus 140. If you like the other dude, the KO's in play at plus 450. But I'm going with the Ricky Turcios decision, plus 140. Next fight, we've got Michael Johnson taking on Jamie Malarkey. Michael Johnson plus 190 was on a horrible loss streak. 1, 2, 3, 4 losses in a row. Tough losses. And then, he had a lot. He faced Habib, Justin Gaethje, then Darren Elkins lost. All three of those. Got back in the win column against Alan Patrick. Second round KO. He looked fast. And I think that's going to be the story of this fight. I think he's just going to be faster boxing-wise than Jamie Malarkey. So our underdog pick, value pick, is for sure Michael Johnson. And I know Jamie Malarkey is super tough. I'm basically thinking Michael Johnson is going to comfortably win rounds 1 and 2. And so, he just can't get caught with some bullshit. It's happened before, and he's just he can't get knocked out. This is the dude, Michael Johnson, back in 2016, knocked out Dustin Poirier in the first round. Kind of has shown gas tank issues, which is probably why Jamie Malarkey is such the heavy favorite at minus 225. But I think Michael Johnson is a really good fighter, talented, athletic, and has just, in that 4-fight skid, and what is he, 6-3 in his last 9. 3-6 in his last 9. Like, I just think he's gotten unlucky in some of those fights. He was winning and just got caught. Maybe it's like 5-4 is what he if some of those fights went to decision, some of those knockout losses. I'm thinking like Josh Emmett, Darren Elkins, like, just needs to stay safe in this one. But I'm jumping on Michael Johnson as the underdog here, just like his experience in this fight and winning method. I might even put a little bit on the KO at plus 380. Although the fact that this decision is a little bit better odds at plus 600, that's a little appealing too, just given Jamie Malarkey is tough. Jamie Malarkey, 14-5, does have 3 knockout losses though. Jalen Turner was his only UFC knockout loss. Did get KO'd by Volkanovski. So maybe that, understanding how those two guys are, very explosive, fast, understanding who Michael Johnson is, maybe the KO is the likely outcome. So we'll go Michael Johnson KO plus 380, Michael Johnson money line plus 190. Cynthia Calvillo taking on Nina Nunes. Nina Nunes, obviously coming off of Parenthood layaway, with Amanda. They had a kid. Solid stand-up. But then, we saw her face, I think, Mackenzie Dern in her next fight. I'll just confirm that. Mackenzie Dern. And just kind of got absolutely dominated. Yeah, round 1, armbar submission. She's taking on Cynthia Calvillo, who's a really experienced fighter. She is on a 3-fight losing streak, but she is a very good grappler. As far as her 3-fight losing streak, Andrea Lee, Jessica Andrade, Caitlin Chukagian, went to a draw against Marina Rodriguez, and then Carla Esparza is her other loss in recent history. So obviously those are her only losses, the ones I just listed. Those are her only professional losses. So she's faced really, really solid competition. I'm going with Cynthia Calvillo. I think she's going to be able to grapple in this fight, use her jiu-jitsu. Just recognize she's the better grappler in this fight. And I don't think the stand-up advantage is that much in favor for Nina Nunes. I would say Cynthia Calvillo. She does have 3 submission wins. Nina Nunes, 2 submission losses. You got to keep that in mind. But I would say it would be a Cynthia Calvillo decision. But, you can't discount that possibility of a submission. The odds makers do like it to go the distance, so a decision victory for either fighter. And then Cynthia Calvillo, submission decision -125. Not that great of an improvement over the odds makers having her at -155. So I'm going to go with Cynthia on the money line. I like her to grapple a little bit in this fight and then just keep it competitive on the feet. Probably win a decision. The next fight, we've got Jared Vanderaa taking on Chase Sherman. Follow Jared Vanderaa on TikTok. If you're a TikToker, follow Jared Vanderaa. He always interacts with people on TikTok, which is pretty cool, right? You're interacting with the professional athlete. But yeah, just solid behind the scenes kind of access with Jared Vanderaa. I don't know. He answers questions, responds to questions. It's honestly a really interesting TikTok channel. And it's not too much more than like him and his life personally and UFC and fighting. It's not much more than just like fighting and stuff he finds funny personally. So it's like it's cool because it's a personal account and it's not like overly business. There is some business, like some behind the scenes stuff like I mentioned, but it's just interesting. But he's the slight favorite at -190. Chase Sherman is the underdog at +160. Hey, I don't blame you if you want to take the underdog in this fight. But Chase Sherman to me has been so frustrating and so difficult to watch. Like, I'm going with Jared Vanderaa. Chase Sherman, I'm the Vanilla Gorilla. That's an insult to the nickname. Like at Export, they called me the Vanilla Gorilla. That's an insult. The fact that you're on a 4-fight losing streak. What Parker Porter did to Chase Sherman, that's what I think Jared Vanderaa is going to do. I don't know if Jared Vanderaa is going to put him away. I don't know. But I think he's going to I think he's going to mess him up. I think he's going to mess him up for sure. I like Jared Vanderaa -195, whatever it is. I like a decision. The odds makers don't think this is going to reach a decision. Chase Sherman, so Vanderaa 7 KO victories. He's 2-3 in decisions. Chase Sherman, he's a good boxer, right? 14 KO victories. He's probably going to be most dangerous early, but he just hasn't shown great cardio in really any of his fights, and he just kind of seems like he gets hurt. I don't know what to think about this fight, but I'm rolling with my TikTok friend, Jared Vanderaa. Yeah, 4 KO losses for Chase Sherman. I think this is going to play out a lot like we saw Andrei Arlovski, Parker Porter versus Chase Sherman, just like a unanimous decision victory for our guy Jared Vanderaa. But another point, I think Jared Vanderaa put up a better fight against Andrei Arlovski than Chase Sherman did for sure. So just from that and we did see Alexei Oleinik submit Jared Vanderaa, but he's obviously an insane jiu-jitsu artist and submission guru. Oleinik's just kind of ridiculous with the submission game. It was stupid for Vanderaa to get on the ground. So, yeah, rolling with Jared Vanderaa on this. Probably, I'd say, decision. Douglas Silva de Andrade taking on Said Nurmagomedov. Nurmagomedov is the slight favorite at -350, which isn't slight. I just said that because I'm talking, not really thinking through the words I'm about to speak before I say them, which is okay, right? Because we're live. Sometimes you move a little bit quick. So I just need to slow down. Maybe take a sip of this. Spilled a little. Let's be honest, that's not going to help me. You know what's going to help me? What? Said Nurmagomedov taking on Douglas Silva de Andrade. Said 15-2. I'm rolling with Said on this, even though he is the heavy favorite. I mean, Douglas Silva is dangerous. He's got good power. But I just think Said in this matchup, if he's going to get caught, it's going to be something. It's just going to be like one punch, right? And that, I know that's all it takes in a UFC fight or any sort of fight. It's just going to be one punch. But it's just going to feel a little bit gimmicky. We'll all be impressed with Douglas Silva at age 37 being in the shape he is if he knocks out Said. But I just don't think it's going to happen. I like the speed advantage for Said. I like the grappling prowess for Said. And I think the output is probably in Said's favor. If I had to guess the outcome of this fight, I'd say a decision for Said. If we're looking at de Andrade, he's 6-2 in decisions. He's got 20 KO victories. That knockout against Gaetano Perillo last year, he was filthy. And then Sergey Morozov had the submission victory. Like, the dude's in very, very good shape. But I think, although Raoni Barcelos is one of those guys who is like, it was kind of fucked up, like how physical that guy was. And like, Douglas he's for sure a freak in that sense. I'm rolling with Said in this fight. I have to take him. -360 now. I'd say the decision, yeah, my plus 200 is likely. I don't really love the KO. I think Said's going to win on output, being able to secure a couple takedowns, and just like overall being quicker and just outclassing Douglas Silva. Definitely, has to avoid that knockout power of Douglas, though. But I'm going to roll with Said. We've got the co-main event, which is, I like this guy. I just haven't figured out his first name yet. Caio Borrello taking on Armen Petrosyan. Caio, really impressive debut. He is the favorite in this fight, -240. 1-0 in the UFC. I like him a lot. He seems well-rounded. really good grappling performance against Godzi in his UFC debut. Like, that was a guy that was he was a grappler for sure. And Kaio was just, he looked really, really strong in the fight. He trains with Damian Maia, so I think he's going to be really good on the ground as far as a jiu-jitsu artist. Armin Petrosyan, solid KO power. I think 6 out of 7 of his victories are via knockout. I think this is a interesting matchup. Kind of crazy, just that they're facing each other at this stage in their career, in their respective careers. But I think Kaio is a little bit more well-rounded. Like, he'll have that grappling advantage in his back pocket, and I think he is decent on the feet, where he's going to be, competitive on the feet. So I think the biggest discrepancy is going to show up in the grappling ability of Kaio, and I think on the feet they're going to be competitive. So for that reason, I gotta just bet on Caio Borrello at -240 because I think he's going to win. They don't think this fight's going to go the distance. If it plays out how I think it's going to play out, I think it's going to go the distance, and I think Armin's just going to be like in a position where he got taken down a couple times and maybe didn't match the output of Caio. So I think it's going to be a unanimous decision for Caio at +200. That's what I like. So the fight props don't like this to go the distance, +130 to go the distance. I like this one to go 3 rounds, I think. Yeah, I like it to go 3 rounds. The next fight, we've got Rafael Dos Anjos taking on Rafael Fiziev. Rafael, they're a lock. Going with Rafael on the money line in this fight. Just kidding. So Rafael Dos Anjos, he's been doing this way more than Dos Anjos. He's been doing this for a long time. We're going to have to respect his jiu-jitsu and his grappling and give him an advantage when the fight goes on the mat. He's well-rounded, too. He's by no means a bad striker. I think his performance versus Eddie Alvarez was one of the craziest. Or did he lose to Eddie? Am I crazy? Did he fight Eddie Alvarez? Or am I crazy? Oh yeah, he lost to Eddie Alvarez. He got pieced up actually on the feet. His wins against Diaz, Pettis, Cerrone, Magny. Well, not so much Magny. That was a grappling thing. He's at Felder. That was primarily on the feet. Yeah, Renato Moicano. That was a tough fight to watch. The fact that Renato made it the full 5 rounds was kind of crazy. But Rafael Fiziev, I think he's going to have an advantage in the striking department, and you can see his takedown defense has been pretty good thus far, but he definitely hasn't faced a grappler or jiu-jitsu artist like Rafael Dos Anjos, someone who's this good on the mat in his career yet. But I'm going to roll with Rafael Fiziev, -190, slight favorite, to beat Rafael Dos Anjos. Rafael's obviously motivated. I think, I don't know. I would have loved to see him face Islam, just because it's interesting putting up the... I don't think the striking... I think the striking would have been pretty equal maybe more in favor of Islam Sambo, as far as like output and if it made it to a decision. But I think Rafael is probably the best jiu-jitsu artist in the top 10 of this division. So I would go with Rafael dos Anjos under, I don't know, against Islam. It would have been tough. I think Islam would have just top mounted him and stayed in that position, and Rafael would have just been trying to survive for 5 rounds. But I'm going to go with Rafael Fiziev on the money line, minus 190, like I said. I think he comfortably takes the early rounds in this fight. And then, Dos Anjos might come into this fight a little bit, but down on the scorecard, you just gotta favor Fiziev. We haven't seen him in the extended fight yet. Fiziev, I like the decision plus 150. If we're looking at these fighters, Dos Anjos, 3 KO losses, 16-10 in decisions. Fiziev, 3-0 in decisions. Terrific Muay Thai. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Dos Anjos just comes out there and puts on a hell of a performance. I think the fight's going to go the distance, minus 135. I think the fight's going to go the distance. I think that's a good bet. I think if Fiziev wins, it's going to be, it could be a knockout, right, in the early portions of the fight. But I think the more likely outcome is Fiziev's taking, 3 out of 5 rounds. Probably dealing out more damage on the feet, avoiding takedowns, and just looking like the better fighter in this matchup. So, rolling with Rafael Fiziev. If you want, I'm going to add my Twitter handle. Oh, go and chase Sherman by KO. JB Bets. I hear ya. Like, Jared Vanderaa does not look good with his shirt off, and Chase Sherman looks better. But Chase Sherman is kind of a lighter heavyweight, and just with the, I wonder what they weighed in at, or if I'm just bullshitting, right? Chase Sherman, Jared Vanderaa weights. Chase Sherman will be a little bit lighter. I just think Vanderaa, he didn't look bad in the striking department against a fighter like Arlovsky. So I understand Chase Sherman does have that early knockout prowess, but we haven't seen it for a while in the UFC. And I think the fight's going to play out more like Chase Sherman against Parker Porter. I took Chase Sherman in that. I think that's the last time I took Chase Sherman. I'm just not like a fan of the gas tank if he's not getting the knockout. That being said, Jared Vanderaa, he could have won that Andre Arlovsky fight, and he just didn't get it, and it was a split decision loss, but like it was his for the taking, and he didn't take advantage of it. Trending topics, Twitter. Let's get to it. I appreciate you tuning in, JB Bets. I'd be down if you're still watching. How many viewers do I have? 2 viewers. If you're still watching, I'd be down to place a wager with you, a friendly one. Let's see. Trending Twitter topics. Tony Cericchio. He died. You ever feel like nothing good was ever gonna happen to you? Yeah, nothing did. So what? Okay. I mean, personally, I'm not super big into the gangster movies, the mob movies, but I liked some things. I liked some things. The Sopranos wasn't bad, but never watched the entire series. SmackDown, freaking WWE. Yeah, right. Like anyone's talking about that shit on Twitter. Uh, Elon Musk. Yeah, so I bought some Twitter stock. Twitter, they can't sue Elon for backing out of the deal. He's just asking for like data on the bots on Twitter, and Twitter for some reason isn't able to produce that. Like that's crazy. Like, I mean, I guess everyone's like who read. I don't know. I haven't signed up for Twitter in a while, right? The last time I signed up was ages ago. So maybe I can make like a KO Bets Twitter. By the way, I'm gonna paste my Twitter in the chat. I just gotta look it up to make sure I put it right. I'll tweet out some plays tomorrow. If you'd like to partake and follow, I'll tweet out some plays. Yeah, I mean, I just bought some Twitter, so I'm not like freaking out. What is this picture? Trump and Steve Bannon are trying to pull an executive privilege con on the 1-6 committee. It's just weird how like Steve Bannon's licking at his lips and they're both licking their lips, you know? I'm a big I don't want to get into politics, but I like Trump. I like Trump. AITSF live stream. The fuck is that? It's like stupid when you can't figure out what it is, right? Kagami supremacy. I'm Inspector Man. Nice to meet you. Wearing a face mask? Come on. Nestor Cortez. This guy, yeah, with his mustache. First of all, the mustache is terrific. But this guy's really good. Is he a Cy Young candidate? He should be, right? He's on the best team in baseball. He's probably got the wins. I would assume he has the ERA and WHIP to be competitive. What's dupe? Dupe. There it is. I don't know. Sorry, soccer community. I don't know who dupe is. Matt Carpenter, Paul Rudd. We're gonna avoid that topic. By the way, it did happen, right? There's no sense in like denying it ever happened. So, like a fact, right? World War II. Everyone ignored it for the longest time. Like, I'm sure some shit like that's happening nowadays over in. Well, I think there's enough like stories and evidence to say it's happening over in China with Muslims, right? I think there's enough evidence and reporting out there to say, like, isn't it like the younger Muslims just are, there's some not so good stuff happening right now. So I don't think there's any sense in like denying that this stuff goes on. It's stupid when people try to deny history. I feel like sometimes I'm denying the presence as it unfolds. And I don't know how it's being taught in the school curriculum, but I mean that's going to be like a fascinating thing when I eventually have kids, is like when they're studying US history and even different basic like facts and science, like how's it going to be presented to your children? I think that's going to be interesting. Like, how are the 2000s going to be presented? Like the 2008 crisis, financial crisis. Like, is there going to be, are we going to teach our students that they're, what we're going through today is in relation to that crisis, or are we just gonna like make some fictitious shit up? I think we're gonna make some shit up. I'm gonna pull out my hair. I'm gonna die like 45 on the toilet, and just from stress from this freaking place. This is crazy. All right, what do I want to look up? Oh, the Japanese Prime Minister shot. Shinzo Abe assassinated. How horrible. Just on a campaign trail, shot and killed yesterday. I mean, yeah, and they make the point to say Japan is one of the world's safest nations and has some of the strictest gun control laws anywhere. I think if you go out and you intentionally murder people, your punishment you might be subject as punishment to intentional murder. You get what I'm saying? Like, I don't believe in like humans judging humans in the sense of like the right to live, the right not to live. Like, I think everyone has a right to live. That's my personal opinion, but when it comes to like murderers, like people who are directly going out there and causing harm to other people with the intent of ending lives, like, it just seems to me like that without the deterrent of having that act committed on you in return, it just seems like weird to not at least consider that outcome. Yeah, I don't know what to say about it. Like, for the longest time I was against capital punishment. I mean, capital murder, same thing, right? For the longest time I was against that, but like, if you're actively working against the good of society, and ending lives and doing it in like, I'm just looking, like, I'm thinking of Hyde Park this week in Illinois on the 4th of July, and if you're just like out, like, what is that kid gonna, or that young man, what's he ever gonna attribute contribute to society in like a positive sense. Like I just don't think that outcome exists anymore for him. So it's just kind of like, and in this instance, like killing the prime minister, like if you're actively going out there with the intent to murder someone and you don't have like, and all you're gonna do is be arrested, like I don't know, like part of me thinks it's not even worth the time, of the discussion. It's just like, yeah, you intentionally, like as a court, like you go through due process, and we've come to the actualization, the facts say you went out there and you intended to kill people. Like maybe you should just not, maybe you don't need to be a part of society, and maybe life in jail isn't a good outcome. Maybe the possibility to claim like you're crazy, like I don't know, everyone's a little different, right? In the head, we're all individuals, but like to go out and just actively commit something so evil, like it just, the older I get, the more I'm like, just like don't even give them the time of day. Don't talk up. I mean, you gotta report on this, right? It's the former prime minister of Japan. You gotta report on it, but like, in Hyde Park, you gotta report on it, right? Because it's making people aware. But like, as far as the outcome for those people, I wish like it was understood with everyone. Like this person, because of what they did, they're gonna get killed. And I don't know, like I think people have the rights to own guns and defend themselves and their property and their families and those they love. I think they have, and that, they have the right to defend themselves and their liberties with a weapon. But like if you're gonna do some bullshit like what we've seen this week, I don't know what the solution is. For me, it just seems like I don't know what, you can't let these people back into society. So it's like, I don't know, why keep them locked up in jail? Why even make it? Why even make it a thing? NBA Summer League, I don't really know what to think. I hate how like some teams play in Summer League games and some teams don't. I wish the Bulls played in more Summer League games. That would be cool. Would love to see Dalen Terry. Would love to see Marko Simonovic. I think I got that right. Our third-year center that we drafted in the second round the same year as Patrick Williams. I don't think Patrick Williams needs to go back to Summer League, but it would just be cool to like see the Bulls active. Chet Holmgren had a good game. I wanted Nikola Jovic. He got drafted by the Miami Heat. That was the guy I kind of wanted with our pick, but he got drafted by the Heat after Dalen Terry. I'm excited about Dalen Terry, but Jovic had a really nice game. Banchero, he had 17 yesterday. I think Ivy had a pretty good game for Detroit. I think the Central Division's kind of getting fucked up with the Bucks. The Pacers, their young players just blow me away, and then the Cavs, and like you're now seeing other teams almost mimic what the Cavs are putting together, in my opinion. just like super tall rosters, spending a lot of money on the length, right? The shot blocking ability, shooting. It's an interesting league, and it's amazing to think like the Warriors small ball is still super prevalent, and the way to play basketball. Like, I don't know, it's just kind of, to me it's interesting. Because you look at the West, you look at LeBron, Doncic, Jokic, I guess the T-Wolves, they've got a lot of length now, especially with Gobert at the center. It's just interesting that the small ball is still, such a prevalent and powerful lineup in the NBA. I think, I'm going to just say it, I think if Kawhi Leonard is healthy, I think the Clippers are going to be and Paul George, obviously. Regardless of what John Wall contributes or whoever else on that team contributes, I think the Clippers are a team to watch in the West. I think they're just, and as far as like the NBA Finals, winning it all, I just think that team it's just interesting to me. Paul George, Kawhi on the court together, the defense, the offense, it's just amazing to think about. And then as far as my Bulls outlook, I wish we would trade Colby Covington for some sort of front court depth. Preferably another rim runner, but we did get Andre Drummond. Maybe someone who's more of like a 3-and-D type ball player. But I don't really know what that looks like in today's NBA. Like, you think 3-and-D, you think wings. What does the 3-and-D ball guy look like? Is it Jaren Jackson? Is it Jonathan Isaac? Is that what we're kind of thinking is the next 3-and-D kind of role? But we need someone at the 4 position, and I think Patrick Williams could be that, who's just gonna knock down 3+ 3-pointers a game from behind the arc. Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, they're gonna draw attention. Lonzo Ball, I forget how good the Bulls were with Lonzo Ball this year, and they were very good. So I think the outlook for the Bulls is very promising. So I think we're gonna wrap up the stream here. I had a really nice time tonight. Hope you did as well. If you wouldn't mind, like the video, subscribe to the channel. You'll qualify for the NFT contest. Go ahead, share the video with someone you know. Say like, hey, my friend, you enjoy UFC, he breaks down UFC fights. I would love to grow this channel, and we're doing it slowly and surely. And that's the purpose of the NFT giveaway, is just to give back and say thank you. And if it comes down to it, at 100 subscribers, I'll give everyone $1. It's just, I appreciate the support. I appreciate you tuning in to the channel. I'm gonna take off tonight. Smash the like button, smash the subscribe button, smash them both. But for the subscribe button, I think if you double click it, it'll unsubscribe you. Triple click it to get resubscribed. Have a good weekend, everyone, and I will talk to you next week. Thank you.